What's happening? I'm Nate, and this is the initial episode of the Real Life Experiences and Conversations podcast. Now, this podcast is not about bashing a man or a woman. It's about having conversations and sharing experiences that could benefit a man or a woman. So, with that said, we're going to jump right into it. This first episode is about a personal experience I had with the family court system. I'm going to give you some details about the origins of the case and ultimately how it ended. And in between, I'll share some details about my perspective as to what I thought was occurring. And I'll leave the comment sections open so you guys can give some feedback as to what I thought, if you think that it's an issue or something that's actually occurring. So, this first case originated from a divorce that was initiated by me. I was involved with my ex and came to the point where I felt as though we should go our separate ways. So I initiated a divorce. So I downloaded the paperwork, filled it out, took it to a notary, and ultimately filed it with a clerk. In Louisiana, where I live at, the moment that person is served with those divorce papers, they have 14 days to respond to the divorce petition. So I don't think my ex was aware of this. I think maybe that she was thinking maybe like in later days, older days where they can kind of prolong the divorce and just by not signing it. So I think that's what she thought. Like, so what happened was she didn't respond within the 14 days. And on the 15th day, I was back at the courthouse filing something that's called a motion for preliminary default. And what that does essentially is excludes them from the divorce petition now. So what that means is basically what you ask for in a divorce, you're going to get it unless it's just something that's outrageous. All I was asking for was to be not legally binded to my ex anymore. So the judge looked at it and he was like, oh, all right, that's all he want. He signed off on it. And from that moment, I was no longer legally binded to my ex and we were divorced. So when she found out, mind you, we have a son. When she found out, I guess, she was like, man, he fucking divorced me. And I didn't even participate in it. So she filed for child support. We're doing like a joint custody type thing from another court case. I'll tell you about it in another episode. But she filed for child support. So I'm at home one day, at my home. Guy knocked on the door, he served me some child support papers. So I'm like, wow, that was quick. So I decided to file for shared custody. I don't want full because at the end of the day, my son, he still loves his mother no matter how she is or how the situation is. He still loves her. So I didn't want to take him completely from her. So I didn't go for like full custody. I filed for shared custody. So I filed a petition for custody. Luckily for me, the court date for the custody case came before the court date for the child support case. So you show up for the custody case, and it's with a hearing officer. It's called a hearing officer conference. So you're required to bring check stubs and proof that you have a suitable living, a vehicle, and gainful employment. She's required to do the same thing. So I'm in a conference and I'm presenting all these documents, and my ex just starts, telling stories. I was abusive. She's crying. She's not really answering the questions. I'm looking at it like it's kind of like a strategy. But I'm frustrated because I had been through this in another case before. So I'm just sitting there and she's asking her things to present this and that, and she keeps talking about abuse and this and that. So I'm like, man, this is a strategy they're using, right? So I present what I present. Mind you, I have a bachelor's with a concentration in organizational leadership and entrepreneurship. I have an MBA. And my ex, I'm being completely honest with you, she didn't finish high school. So I'm assuming that I'm gonna be granted the domiciliary parent because I'm qualified. I'm more qualified. Just to be honest with y'all, like I said, I'm just giving you the facts. That's the only way. I don't even know how to be real with you. So in my mind, I'm like, I just want to share custody, but I want to be in control of his education because I have one. So she's over there crying. She's emotional. This goes on for like an hour. So the hearing officer asked us to step out into the lobby, and she says, I'll draw up a response, and I'll let you guys read over, and if you agree to it, just sign it. If not, you can escalate this to the judge. So we sat in the lobby for like about 5 minutes. She comes back. I read over it. It says it's 50-50 custody, but she was given a title of domiciliary parent. So I was like, I'm not cool with this. She's not qualified for this. And there was some other things said, and she was like, well, you're just going to have to escalate it to the judge. So I don't sign it. But me not signing it doesn't make it invalidated. From that moment, I had 50-50 custody. But she was designated the domiciliary parent. So I'm kind of hot. Like, man, she don't deserve that. So I immediately go home. The next day I come back and file the paperwork to contest the domiciliary aspect of what was given to her. So you have to pay more money, draw up some emotion, a response as to why you think you're the better fit as a domiciliary parent, and file that, right? So I do that. So there's a court date, maybe like eventually they send you some paperwork. I think it was a court date like maybe a month and a half after that. But now the court date is coming up for the child support, and this is where the 50-50 thing comes into play. In Louisiana, they're of the mind frame that the child is better off if they spend 50-50 time with each parent. So if you have just like a home and a car and you got gainful employment, they're going to give you 50-50 custody. Now, what you do is you take the 50-50 custody and you take it to child support court, right? The 50-50 custody causes them to set the child support under a different guideline. Under the guidelines that it's equal amount of time being shared with each parent. So they're going to put you both on child support, and then according to whoever makes the higher income, that's who's going to pay. So I ended up paying, but what I was paying is significantly lower than what I would have been paying if we'd just had an agreement and she was allowing me to see my child on the weekend or whatever she felt like it. I would have been paying a whole lot more. So when we went to child support court, and that was the result of it, she wasn't happy with the amount she was getting. But, she couldn't really do anything about it because I have my child, mind you, I have my child half of the time. So I have to take care of him half of the time and also, give money to her to take care of him when he's on her watch. So that's just the nature of it. So that's what's significant about the 50-50 custody. Now, when we go back to the hearing officer for the court date, they was like within 2 months apart. The initial hearing officer conference, the child support, and then the contestant of the domiciliary aspect. We go back, and now you got to present like report cards, how he had been doing when she had him the majority of the time, when she wasn't allowing me to spend as much time with him. His grades weren't that good, to be honest with you. He spent the majority of the time with her. And so I had to bring report cards to reflect that, while the time he was with her, he didn't do too good in school. So she looked at it, and again, she was crying, but this time she had a lawyer. She had a court-appointed lawyer. And instead of them addressing the grades, she had moved maybe like 4 or 5 times. That aspect, the narrative that they were coming with was like abuse. It was just like abuse. and that wasn't what happened. Like, it wasn't occurred. So now I'm kind of upset because they're not paying attention to like the actual evidence. They're just hearing this abuse shit, right? So I'm like, damn, like this is crazy. Like, it's like I'm presenting evidence, I'm presenting my degrees and whatever, and they don't want to hear that shit, man. Look, it was like initially I'm like, I'm not thinking what I eventually I thought it was. I'm like, damn, they must be like on some like sisterhood type shit, like. So I might have to get in front of the judge. I saw the name on the docket. The judge was a guy, so I'm like, all right, I got to get in front of him. After, at this second hearing officer conference, they still designated her a domiciliary parent. I'm like, man, this shit crazy. So again, I'm hot. So now I got to pay for another filing to get it to go to trial. Basically, we're going to trial. I want to get before a judge and actually present myself. Now, mind you, I'm representing myself pro se, so I'm not paying, large sums of money to a lawyer. This is how I'm able to do these filings and still maintain my home, my car, myself, just my lifestyle, my son's lifestyle. I'm not paying thousands of dollars to a lawyer. I felt like I was articulate enough to represent myself, and that I didn't need to communicate my truth to a lawyer who then would communicate it to a judge. So now we're before the judge. It's a long process, like, and it really depends on who's gonna get tired first, like, because they can delay it and delay it. I was unaware of this, that's even a strategy to delay it. So we get to court and she's like, oh well, I have to go out of this is the lawyer, or I have to go out of the country. So can I ask for a recess to reset it again? Long story short, this shit went on for like a year and a half before we actually got back before the judge and was ready for trial. But this is what happened. I'm getting ahead of myself. Like 6 months after that initial meeting with the judge, when we came back, he ordered a limited custody evaluation and appointed a psychologist to analyze both of us, right? So we both had to pay like $1,200 to $1,500, like $250 every time we went there. I think it was like 5 or 6 sessions. So now you're in front of a psychologist. You can't lie. This woman is trained to detect and identify behavior patterns, and just she can identify for the most part when somebody's being truthful and when somebody's lying. So the result of the custody report was the dad should be granted the domiciliary parent. In a nutshell, so she sent her report to the judge. We had a court date after that. The judge called me into the chambers with her lawyer because I'm representing myself and said, do we really need to go to trial? I read the report. Her lawyer's still on some delay type shit, just trying to prolong this whole process. Was like, yeah, she don't like the way she was represented in the report, and there are allegations of abuse, and that's why, ma'am, Your Honor, there's no abuse. Like, I've never been arrested for abuse or anything. This is just a strategy that they're using. The judge was like, Mr. Martin, just relax. I understand. He told her lawyer, the next time you come here, be ready for trial. I'll see you at trial, Mr. Martin. So we leave. I'm hot. Again, it's just been delayed again. Like, she just constantly delaying. He could have made a ruling right then and there. He has the report that recommends that I be designated a domiciliary parent, all right? So like a month go by, and I don't receive any kind of documentation saying that she subpoenaed the psychologist to come to court and testify as to what, if she said the veracity of her statements. It's nothing. So now this forces me to file another motion to designate the domiciliary parent, and something called a rule to show cause. I had to file a preliminary injunction to prevent her from transferring him to a school that was closer to our home, which would have been his fifth school in like 4 years, right? So this is the whole point of me initiating this shit before this school year started. So I filed that. When I filed that, initially I was late to that court date, so I was hot about that. And she was like, as I was walking in, I saw her walking out, and when I got to the hearing, it went back to the hearing officer. That's what I forgot to mention. When I filed the motion to designate domiciliary parent and the preliminary injunction, it took it out of in front of the judge and sent it back to the hearing officer conference. The hearing officer. So I'm like, damn, why the fuck it sent it back to her? She's the one, the whole reason it was here. So as I'm late as traffic that day, I'm late for the hearing officer conference. So after I'm about 20 minutes late, she sent her home. I'm coming in. I get there. She like, yeah, you're late. I said I had to find somewhere to park. She's like, you're lying. I'm like, lying. So I'm like, all right. What do I need to do? And she's like, you need to file a reset. So I had to spend some more money. I had to draw up another motion, apologize to the court, and then spend more money to have her served again. But ultimately, the next time we went, it was her lawyer and it was me. And I got to present my evidence and kind of like jam her lawyer up and made her look like a liar, which she was. And ultimately, I was given the domiciliary aspect, and we both had shared custody. The point I'm trying to make is I had to jump through all these hoops when the evidence clearly indicated who was the better fit for domiciliary parent. And this is what I think. Like, I think within this sector, as far as the custody aspect of the court system, it's like, I think like it's like kind of like feminism that's kind of invaded it behind the scenes, because in a majority of these spaces, there are women in these positions, and they feel some kind of way no matter what you think about this particular topic. If it's all women, then naturally they're probably gonna think no matter what, the woman is better off, the child is better off with the woman. And if they have a feminist ideology, they're automatically gonna like think that. So the whole point of this episode is to explain to you, men and women, that basically you gotta have your shit together, man. And you have to be real selective and wise about who you choose as a partner and understand the system. Initially, when I started going to court with this, I was emotional. I was saying, you're lying, and the judge saying, you can't say that. I'm going to hold you in contempt. I'm like, why are you lying? Like, I just didn't know how to go about or navigate within the system. I had never been in court like that. But eventually I learned and became knowledgeable about it. But in my opinion, I think like it's a feminist ideology in these type of spaces because the majority of them are occupied by women, and they just didn't even want to look at the evidence. This woman was not qualified to be the domiciliary parent. So I would appreciate you guys if you give me some feedback, look at it, and tell me, am I tripping, or is it something that you think is a real issue?